Hello and welcome everyone to the Uncommon Common Sense Hour with Lisa Petter, and my special guest today is Sarah Hope Adams. Thank you for joining me.
Oh, thank you, Lisa. I'm so glad to be here.
So, did everyone know that October 20th to October 27th is National Anxiety Awareness Week? Isn't everybody facing anxiety right now?
Absolutely. And it's really increased since the pandemic as well.
It has very much increased since the pandemic. The stats are that a whopping 18% of the world's population suffers from panic and anxiety. And a CDC study said that, 31% of people, 31% are now facing anxiety that they didn't have before this pandemic, which is huge, huge number. Anxiety, because my daughter suffers from anxiety and I'm a mom that has had to deal with her anxiety, is a debilitating and miserable plight for the people who have it and the people who live with them, who have to deal with their anxiety on a daily basis. People find themselves trapped in a nightmare from which, honestly, there appears to be no escape. And I can tell you, I was there as a mom trying to deal with that.
Yes, I totally understand. It's amazing how much of your life gets consumed. And
Totally consumed in it. It almost destroyed my marriage. It made it really hard on my other daughter. It was a really, really difficult thing. So, what I want to do is Sarah has emerged from her own battle, 37-year battle with panic anxiety. And during her last 3 decades, she amassed an amazing array of tools and tips and techniques to help people break free from the grip of panic anxiety and the despair that accompanies it. And so, what is it that you do for people with anxiety?
so when there's a panic attack, when a
Mhm.
panic attack strikes, it's a huge physiological chemical response, right? Which brings adrenaline into the body. And this is the first stage of
Mhm.
panic anxiety, is that physical kind of chemical dump, the first
Right.
stage. And then what happens is the mind says, "Oh my God," and starts
Mhm.
spinning out. Now, that's the second stage, is what the
Uh-huh.
mind does with the physiological reaction. So, the
Mhm.
first and foremost thing that I do is help interrupt going into the second stage spin out.
That is so powerful.
The first step.
Yes.
And that involves coming back to the body through
Mhm.
acupressure points,
Mhm.
through a variety of different techniques. But at the crux of this step is just acknowledging that it's okay to be afraid.
Mhm.
That fear does not equal death or insanity, because
Yes.
that what the mind will do is it'll say, "I'm going to die," right? Because it doesn't
Mhm.
recognize these chemicals in the wilderness. When the fight or flight chemicals come in, you could run from the lion,
Yes.
or
Yeah.
you could stay and try to fight whatever it is. But
Yeah.
when you're in, the grocery store, there's
Right.
just, it doesn't match this massive response. So
Right.
you have to self soothe, and I teach people
Yes.
how to self soothe through acupressure,
Yeah.
through songs,
Mm.
simple affirmation songs that they sing to themselves,
Right.
through sound healing as
Yep.
well, through breathing techniques for relaxing and grounding.
Mhm.
But what we want to do is interrupt that moment when the spin begins. So if we can learn to apprehend the spin out of
Yep.
that second stage, we can really nip it in the bud. And then
And
you want
bring the energy back in. Bring the control. The person feels like they have control
to
coming.
have they have some control. And at that point, then we introduce positive stimulus, like say your favorite essential oil is like rose.
Right.
You can go and smell that rose, or even better, you could go outside and behold a beautiful flower. Because what we want to
Right.
do in that moment now is we want to entrain the senses toward the positive. And
Mm-hmm.
people who suffer from panic and depression as well have a strong pain body bias. I'm going to call it a
Okay.
pain body bias, right?
Right.
Eckhart Tolle tells us that the pain body, is our collective trauma body.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true. We have a lot of trauma in life. And
Yeah.
but for people who suffer panic and depression, it's like that pain body has more control than what I would call
Right.
the bliss body or the joy
Right.
body, right?
Yes.
So we want to help them say no to the pain
Right.
body's pull because
Right.
panic really spins you. It's almost like someone is flushing a toilet and you go down that negative vortex, with your
Right.
daughter, right? So what
Yes.
you want to do is you want to help them stand at the event horizon,
Yes.
say no. So there's a certain discipline at that event horizon because the
Yes.
pain body just is like sharks that want to take you down and eat you. And you have to
And do you
stand on
help?
your sailboat and say, no, I'm sailing for brighter horizons. And
That's
that's
right. And
why,
do you help people become aware of that event horizon? Because so many people
yes,
just flush, like they
absolutely. And that's one
out,
of
they
the
have a hard
major,
time catching that moment.
yes, and that takes time. We do in my self love restoration project in my course. I meet
Mhm.
with people 3 times a week, and we are there, I'm there with them every, in that morning. I may do it
Yep.
every day, but right now I'm thinking 3 times a week because
Yep.
my last class we did three
Yep.
times a week. So you're waking up, you're coming to the class, and we're breathing together. We're doing our
Mhm.
gratitudes. We're
Yep.
focusing on things we love, and we're feeling safe in our bodies as much as we can. We're starting to feel the association with the body has to become positive. And so we're
Mm-hmm.
building positivity. And
Yes.
through the course, we bring in this this skill of self-love,
Mhm.
self-soothing. Because if you
Yep.
think of panic attacks are like being trapped with a voice that is mean to you, that is scaring you, that is
Yes.
hurting you. So I teach people how to bring in the loving parent, the good
Right.
parent that
Yep.
that says, "Okay, sweetheart, let's go smell the flowers." So we're
Right.
parenting the inner child with the good parent. And
Right.
this takes time because
Yep.
the pattern of being in a negative pain body is something that grows through the whole life, right? And it really affects the whole nervous system. So we're repatterning the nervous system toward this love and this
Right.
safety and this benevolence. Really, we're taking the person and helping them to create step by step a
Yep.
benevolent, loving ecosystem with their
Oh,
thoughts,
yes.
with all of their senses, right? So they're smelling flowers and fragrances, they're cooking beautiful food, they're giving gratitude, they're being touched by their beloveds,
Right.
they have maybe animals that they love.
Right.
And they start tipping the scales of the pain body into the bliss
Right.
body. And
Yes.
ultimately, what the goal of all my work with people is to bring them from an entrainment into negativity to an entrainment into positivity
Positivity.
as their
Yes.
baseline state. Because,
Right.
life is filled with ups and downs, but
Yes.
your baseline state is that gratitude for the
Right.
miraculous beauty that's all around you and that
Right.
positive experience of being alive. Then you can be much more flexible, resilient, right? In despair, you're not going to be trapped in despair and
Yes.
hopelessness. And my middle name's Hope, and I've
Yeah.
spent 37 years in the underworld.
Right.
Shining that, growing that perseverance and strength to teach others to illuminate their lives from in out of the darkest places, one
So
step
tell
at a
us
time.
about where you had your darkest place and then what got you to get out of it.
Okay, so well, in 1983, I had just taken my midterm at UCLA, astronomy midterm, and I was sitting at the Cooperage, the food center in UCLA, And it's important to note that my friend had said to me, now you're 18. And because you're 18, you're going to learn to stand on your own 2 feet.
Mm.
Now, very often, people with panic anxiety, it happens with severe separation consciousness.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
that was the moment. And it happens when you have a lot of guilt and shame and just
Hmm.
fear of stepping out into life. And so
Yes.
18 is a very common age for
Yep.
the onset of panic
Yep.
anxiety. And mine was 18, October 26, 1983. I took
Yeah.
one bite of pizza, one sip of orange juice, and the world went black.
Oh
All I could,
no.
and then white light just came in. I
Yeah.
couldn't see anything. My friend walked me to the phone to call my mother, and my mom wasn't there. My brother was on the phone. I was like, that's the last voice I will hear before I die. It,
Yes.
there was no doubt that I was dying.
Right.
And then began a 9-month period where I really couldn't leave my house. I couldn't walk outside. I withdrew
Right.
from all 18 units of my double major, psychology and music at UCLA,
Yeah.
and became completely housebound and
Wow.
completely impotent to walk outside my house.
And what allowed you to start walking out of your house?
The loving parent, the part of my being that said no to the one
Yes.
to the part that scared me and said,
Right.
yes, I love you and I'm going to care for you. It's like it took my little girl by the hand and it
Yep.
put another hand on the scaring voice and said no,
No.
said, I love you, little one. And it
Right.
became this self-protecting, self-loving um, parent. And that's how I was able to begin step by step, baby steps, which is what I.
Right. Baby steps. And so, what are people getting triggered by right now in the world?
Well, of course, we're facing mortality. I mean,
Right.
when you think panic attacks are all about fear of death, I mean,
Right.
and what are we facing? Fear of death.
Yes.
So, and it's on this huge scale. So the collective is experiencing it.
Yep.
And it's just really, it's triggering any like seed of anxiety that was in there is
Right.
blossoming inside of.
Blossoming.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what is a tip? So, if someone's in the grocery store and they're shopping, and let's say they see someone take their mask off and cough, and it triggers a panic anxiety, what is like a couple of steps that you would tell people to do?
Yeah. So one of the things you can do is find your kidney points, which is
Okay.
just right below your clavicle, your collarbone, and
Okay.
kind of right where your tank top or your bra strap would be.
Yep.
And have them rub those,
Yep.
have them just relax, try to breathe and
Right.
feel the kidney points because the kidney points are all about staying in the body. And when you
Okay.
panic, you tend to disassociate and
From
leave the
your go
body.
out. Yes.
So
Yep.
what we want is we want to go back into the body and the kidney points can really ground.
Right.
And then you want to, another thing that's really good is to get your finger on your belly button because that's a major grounder point, right where the umbilical cord connects to the body. So you want to have your hands on your kidney points and then a finger right at your belly button.
Okay.
And then you want to just maybe close your eyes and go inside. Of course,
Yep.
you want to remove yourself from the person who just coughed. So you know, okay,
Yes.
I'm moving away.
Yeah.
And if you have your mask on, you're still pretty safe. So just talk to yourself and say, it's going to be okay, sweetheart. It's going to be all
Right.
right. Just take a breath, feel your belly, feel these points. Because what happens with the kidney points is when you are out of your body, they hurt super bad.
Yes.
Like try touching yours. You're probably in your body right now. Mine are a
Yeah.
little bit sore because I'm
My daughter, you can't even touch right
no.
here. She just goes,
So that's a best entry point to the body. It's
yes.
where the kidney meridians come the closest to the surface is right on that
Right.
27 it's called.
Yep.
So I definitely help people find that L27
Yep.
and then find their bellies, find their belly buttons,
Yeah.
and then sending kind of a grounding cord down into the earth and feeling, if you're in
Right.
a grocery store, it's a little tricky, but just remembering that you're part of the earth and that
Right.
you're okay and that
Right.
you're safe, and like I still sometimes when I'm in grocery
Right.
stores are one of the number one places for panic because there's too much stimuli.
Yes.
So you just have to take yourself aside and just
Yeah.
like sometimes I'll smell my little smell that I love smelling,
Yeah.
oils, and I'll just take myself aside and go, okay, so we
Right.
might need to take a little break. Even if I leave my basket, you might just
Right.
have to take a break, go outside,
Right.
take some deep breaths, and just be loving to yourself. You
And
know,
so if someone followed those points and got out of the grocery store, is there things they can keep doing like on the way home or when they're out in the parking lot to really help them, walk away from that point?
yeah, I mean, once your nervous system kind of goes into a fight or flight response, it does take some time.
Right.
So you might not want to drive right away,
Right.
right? You probably want to, it'd be great to take off your shoes and put your feet in the earth. That would be fantastic.
Hmm.
Sure, and drink some water, hydrate,
Right.
and then just remember something positive and something beautiful and
Hmm.
maybe find some music that's relaxing because see it's a multi-sensory experience to
It
build
it really is
the
in the
bliss
grocery
body,
stores.
right? And so when you think about all the things that create the fear body, let's call it, the things that bring the bliss body, those are the things that you've got to load into the system after
Right.
a panic attack. You've got to go lay on the earth. You've got to look at a beautiful leaf. You got to remember your connection to the mother earth.
Right.
You got to
Yeah.
find the music. Like I'm a sound healer, so I'll
Yep.
play my crystal bowls and even
Yep.
just toning, hearing your own oh sound in your
Right.
body is really good.
Okay, those are excellent tips. Those are excellent tips because I know I can see her starting to just go right out of her body when she starts to have those episodes, and I've ended up using humor to
Humor's
her
great.
in that moment, and she kind of goes, "Oh," and then helping her step back because she's only 13, so her awareness of herself and her surroundings and all those things isn't always the best all the time.
Yeah, it's interesting because my anxiety started trickling in at age 13.
13, yeah.
It's interesting because
So
that's right when you're coming into what they call the psychotic years, right
mhm,
at 13. And then, of course, at 18, it's the total psychotic break.
right,
If you're going to have one, that's when you have it.
that's
From
right,
18 to
yeah.
25, I believe. So, yeah,
Yeah, and when you said that, because if you talk to her about anything in the future, she won't talk about it. It scares her. She's
yeah, you just got to be in the
it.
moment, which is such the antidote to that
Yes,
second level of the fear response. It happens because you're projecting
that's
into the
right.
future,
Into the
right?
future.
Yep.
That's absolutely right. Well, thank you so much for those amazing tips. And if people want to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, they can just go to my website, sarahhopeadams.com. You can schedule a call with me there. You can also go to the contact tab, have my phone number and my email. So I would love to hear from you. And I just feel it just brings me such joy to think of helping others after all this time of really struggling with this myself. It just means so much to think that the fruit of this is that I could help lead others, into this.
Absolutely. And that you're able to give people hope. There's so many people without hope right now. They don't have hope that this will end or that this will, their feelings will ever get better. And it's so heartwarming that you are being able to help people find hope in this world, which is really scary for a lot of people.
It is. It's really a harrowing time on our planet, but there's so much beauty, and
There
there's just,
is.
we're going. This pandemic has been very challenging, but it
Mhm.
has taken us deeper into our hearts. to know
That's
what
right.
we really value. And I believe the best is yet to come for the human
I
race.
I totally agree. Well, remember, you can go to sarahhopeadams.com and schedule a consultation with her. Thanks so much for being on the call.
Thank you so much, Lisa. It was an honor and it was lots of fun.
It was. Thank you.
Yeah.